Welcome to GP Bullhound's Tech Thoughts, a weekly overview of economic developments in international markets. Today's the 3rd of June and we are here with Inge, Heydorn and Nejla-Selma for our weekly market roundup. In today's episode, they will talk about Salesforce, Microsoft, tech demand and gaming. But first, market news from Inge. Over to him.
Market volatility has continued, and I know I sound like a broken record now stating that, but I think the interesting thing this week is that tech got some of its confidence back on the back of the Salesforce numbers, and really their comments around the demand side. The management team has been on a roadshow around the world lately, and the confidence they got from meeting all the clients is that the clients are investing to improve their companies even in this macro uncertainties, which means that demand side for Salesforce is holding up really well. So that really gave the confidence back a little bit on the cloud sector and tech in general this week. On top of that, we had some small cap companies like MongoDB and Okta coming up with healthy numbers, really confirming a slightly more positive picture towards tech investments than we have seen lately. Going over to Salesforce, just to look at the details a little bit more. I think when you look at the numbers in itself, it's not bad at all. They were affected by the currencies, especially the dollar getting stronger, and they guided for that effects a little bit into next quarter, as you also saw Microsoft stating yesterday. But on the other hand, margins were stronger than expected, and they're also guiding for margins to be a little bit stronger than expected going forward because of them executing better and also holding back costs a little bit more than they normally do. So that's quite positive news when it comes to Salesforce. But as I stated, the most positive thing was the comments regarding the demand side, that they see healthy demand, no slowdown, no push-outs, and the clients really stating that they're going to invest further going through this macro uncertainty in order to improve and drive their companies going forward. So that was the really key takeaway, and put that also in the contrast versus the Workday comments that they had some push-outs, although very healthy numbers, but the push-outs they stated was not due to macro uncertainties, but still they were push-out, and that's the last thing the market want to hear at this point in time. So how do you see the Microsoft statement coming out last night? The company is reducing the guidance a little bit for the quarter, so 1%. So it's not much, but they are reducing the guidance due to currency effects. There are two sides to this coin. The first stating really, that's really healthy, given the fact we are a bit into the quarter now. They're now keeping their guidance, which states that they are really constructive relative to where they are in the quarter, given the fact that the guidance into the quarter, which is their Q4, was really healthy. So that really states that the market is on track, and that's the positive read on the numbers. The negative read on the numbers are, if you are taking a pessimistic view on it, that they won't beat and that they had to lower, and that the currency effects are, so to say, just holding them back at this point in time. So there are two sides to that coin. We are taking the more positive side and say, okay, they guided quite constructive, they're keeping that guidance and they feel very confident about it. Yes, we have a negative currency effect due to the fact that the US dollar has moved so much, and that is hurting top and bottom line. Going over to the demand side, we also have had a number of other statements coming out this week. Let's start with Foxconn. Foxconn raised their guidance for the quarter and the full year, stating now that the effects from the lockdowns in China are less severe than expected. That's also quite positive news. Remember that Foxconn is quite large across the board when it comes to, firstly, Apple, absolutely, but also on the computer side and the data storage side. So that's a positive sign that Foxconn is coming out and stating that. On top of that, you had HP numbers coming out, and the reading from the HP numbers are very much in line with our view that the PC demand on the consumer side are weaker and are getting even weaker at this point in time. And it's two things. Firstly, it's really tough comparison because of the COVID. And secondly, the consumer are getting a little bit more cautious on spending. But on the other hand, the PC demand from enterprises are really, really strong. And not just the demand, even the ASP is increasing. So it's a lot of stations for hybrid work, which means it has to be a station that you can work from home and really stay connected with your workspace and do good labor even at home. So it's really a mixed picture, but the interesting thing here is that they have not seen any slowdown on the PC side from the enterprise side yet, which is quite positive news. We expect a slower second half, but still very, very healthy levels. The last thing I would like to highlight before leaving over to Nejla in gaming is that the cybersecurity sector continues to execute. We saw Palo Alto numbers last week, very, very healthy, very constructive. And this week we have seen Okta numbers now last night, very healthy. And even CrowdStrike last night was really, really healthy. So that's a segment of the market which looks really healthy, and demand has been, so to say, increased given the macro uncertainties and especially the war in Ukraine. So that's a sector that's continuing to deliver at this point in time, and looking at the guidance, it looks really healthy also going forward. Over to you, Nejla, and gaming.
Thank you, Inge. And yes, let's do a gaming update. This week we actually do not have that much going on in gaming. We have a couple of gaming announcements that are slightly bigger. Last night, Insomniac Games announced that they're releasing Spider-Man Miles Morales to PC in fall this year, so August 12th, more specifically. We can expect that. Then for the horror game fans, we have the Callisto Protocol in December. We have the Dead Space remake on January next year, though. And then lastly, Resident Evil 4 remake on March 24th, 2023. And that's probably going to be a big one. So the announcement that both Spider-Man games are coming to PC this year kind of suddenly makes the forecast from Sony for huge PC growth this year make more sense, I would say. And also Nintendo announced that Pokemon Scarlet and Violet are coming to Switch in November, among other titles as well. So that's also a good one. So yes, I mean, as we can see now, we can expect a lot of new big titles in the fall. Although my question is if we maybe have a little too packed schedule in the fall of big titles. I mean, if they're releasing big titles around the same time, I would say it's going to be crucial to have a great game to be in the front. I mean, just an example is that the Apex Legends who released now end of May, which was really a great success. But the question is now how Diablo is going to perform, who got released a couple of weeks after. So we'll definitely track the numbers of those releases to see how the gamers move. But yes, this is all for today. I'll see you next week. Bye!